did it from scratch, it automatically took you into edit mode. The next time you come into the document, so I come into my document library, I need to make an edit to this document. I select the document. It opens it up in Word Online. To make edits or get into the actual edit mode, you go to edit and you can choose. Do I want to edit this document in the Word client that's actually on my machine, or do I want to edit it in Word Online? So that's where you decide that you want to edit it in Word Online, and now it's in edit mode. So
how did you change the name of mine? Did you go out of color?
No.
Change the name of what?
Like change the name of your author.
Yeah, we're all members of the site owners group.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which means you have full control, so anything anybody does, someone will come back on.
Oh, you changed it, okay.
It's fun. It's cool. You go back in and change your little. You gotta be, so the lesson here is to be careful who you add to your site.
yes, yes.
And what permission you get.
And what permission you give them. Don't have a bunch of
One time I
jerks.
went into the back system and changed her name on all of her rosters. The last name at the time was Couch. That's why I said, don't you ever call me that. I had to
I saw
she did. Every one of my rosters had a different piece of furniture.
That's awesome.
She immediately called me. What you did. It was really funny when I was chair of the committee because it was Patty Couch chair.
That's pretty good. I like that. Okay.
I think that was how the whole thing actually started.
Okay. Any questions about adding documents or creating a new app? Okay, so we added that document library app. Just as the site itself had a site settings area where you maintained permissions or different pieces for the site itself, each app is going to have a settings area as well. So in our case, we added a document library, and so a document library is going to have an area called library settings. That's where you can maintain specific things for just that particular component. So if I need to change permissions so that individuals only see that document library, then I can manage permissions in the library settings. You can also do things such as add columns or views, all things that we're going to do later in today's session. But you can also do a thing called turn on versioning. By default, versioning should be turned on for your document libraries. But I always like to recommend, if you create a new library, take a couple minutes just to make sure that versioning did indeed get turned on. That way, with versioning, you can keep track of a document throughout its entire life cycle. You can come in and see each version of that document, and if you needed to, revert back to a previous version. So to get to the library settings, that's within the library tab. If you go to library settings, that'll take you to a area called settings, and you can do things like change the name of the library, turn on versioning. If you needed to manage permissions, that lives in this area. So anything that is specific to just that one app lives in the settings menu. With document versioning, basically it should have create major versions turned on. What that means is anytime you go in and make a change and save it, it should see that as a major version and keep that as an item. There is an item on here called create major and minor versions. That's a more advanced option that you can turn on, and where that might become helpful is if you have a smaller group of individuals that kind of work on a document, but then you publish a document for everybody else to see on your team. So individuals within like an author's group see major and minor versions, but only people outside of that group would see the major versions. So that's something you can turn on. To be able to see the version history, you go to the ellipses menu next to the document, and within that extra menu is going to be a link that says version history. That'll let you see all versions that make up that document, and you can revert back or view a previous version if you needed to. So what we're going to do is actually take a look at library settings and then make sure that versioning is turned on for our document library. So if you aren't in your current document library, you might be able to get it from this left navigation, or you can go to the gear site contents. You'll be able to select your library from this page. So I'm going to go into Amy's documents. From the library tab, if you select library, you can go to library settings. It's in the far right of the ribbon, the second to the left of that far right. Go ahead and select library settings.
Where'd you start?
Yep, sure. So from your are you within your document library? On the library tab, library settings is the far right of that ribbon.
Got it.
Yep. So once you're in that settings area, you'll see things such as change the name of the library. You can manage permissions for the library. What we want to do is go into version settings. So if you go to version settings, this is where you can turn on or ensure that versioning was turned on. So the first thing on this list is required content approval. So one of the features you can turn on for a library is to actually have a content approval process. So an individual makes an edit, it goes to an approver, the approver says that it's approved, and at that point individuals on your site can see the document.
So the person that created it, the person then would have to approve it?
You can be part of the approvers group, but you can also set other individuals to be part of that group as well. The second grouping here is to turn on versioning. So by default it should have create major versions. It does have it checked, so we're good to go there. If for some reason you didn't want versioning, you could turn it off versioning. You can also turn on the create major and minor versions in this area. But you can also select to keep only a certain number of versions. So if you wanted to do that, you could select the checkbox and enter a number of versions. I will note, if you utilize the Word Online feature, Word Online by default will add multiple versions within the same editing session. So what you may consider one editing session, it may consider 15 editing sessions because it's constantly saving, especially if individuals are coming into the document while you're in the document. It'll save a version for you, it'll save a version for me based on our editing. So if you change this to only keep a certain number of versions, make sure that that's a higher number just because of those editing experiences. So for me, I'm going to set this to like 150 versions. That way we could make sure that it keeps a number of those. If you don't set anything, that's fine, but as far as I know, it's going to track every version of that document that you've ever had of the document itself. So that's one way to see it throughout the entire cycle. The last piece on this page is required checkout. Now if you were on a team site on the Point, which was in 2007, That was a requirement for every document in a document library. Because we now have Office Online and the Office web apps, this is set to no. So that means multiple people can go in the document, they can make edits. If for some reason you need a more rigid check-in, check-out process, so only one person should be making an edit at a time, you can turn on this setting for a document library. So they would have to check it in and check it out.
Which means nobody can edit it while somebody has it checked out?
Yes, absolutely. So only one person can make a change, and for that change to be visible to the other team members, they'd have to check the document back in. If you set that to yes, the Word Online and the Excel Online feature is turned off because you can't be in there making edits multiple people making edits. So basically at that point you would be checking out the document, making edits directly within your machine at that point, or on your machine on the Word client. So by default though, that's set to no, so you can use Word Online and have that co-authoring available. I'm going to hit OK, and so my new settings will be applied to this library. And now if I went back into my document library, I could go to the ellipses, one more time, and I'm going to see a link that says version history. This is the history of my document through those edits that I just made. So it made 6 versions, and I had went into the document twice. So that's the piece that I'm mentioning, where it's creating multiple versions based on your editing.
And so will it, I don't know if you don't click whatever you just clicked, the history, how you'll know which one you're opening.
It's always,
put it on there.
right, it's always going to open the last version by default. So this is you only utilize this if for some reason you need to go back to a previous version. If you're just constantly adding new things to a document or making changes to that current document, you may never have to come in here. I just wanted to show that as an option in case you need it.
So show me again where you found that.
Sure. It's under the ellipses menu. Okay. So if you go to the ellipses and then version history. So if I went into the document itself right now, I had 6 versions. I went into the document, it would start on creating that 7th version for me. It'd just start from where we were at. Okay. Okay.
Now, when I clicked on my document library though from the left nav,
okay,
I didn't see those options to set the versions.
Okay. So on the library tab.
Oh, on the library tab.
Mm-hmm. And then under library settings.
Got it.
And then it would be under version settings. We're going to do...
We have time for a restroom break.
Yeah. You all want to go ahead and take a break right now? After I talk about this, I was going to take a break, but if you'd rather go ahead and do it now...
Talk about this and then, yeah, we'll take a break.
Okay. Cool. So the next thing is just uploading and deleting documents. Actually, one thing that you all may need to do, because the internet was down earlier, is get this zip file off the front page of Jefferson Team Site Deep Dive. So if you'll go to the main page of the team site and select the ellipses next to this zip folder. Select the ellipses one more time. There's going to be an option that says download a copy. Go ahead and select that. If you're in IE, you can do a save as. I'm going to do a save file. I'm in Firefox. Hit OK. And if you're in IE, you did save as, you can pick where you want to save that to, whether it be on your desktop or within a library documents area of your site. Once you have saved it in the location, take that zip file, right click on it and say extract all. And that will extract the files out of the zip file. And those will be the files that we'll use in this next piece.
Download a copy and save file.
Yes. Are you in Firefox too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just open it up.
Right.
Now where did it
It's down.
go? I don't see. Oh, there it is.
There it goes. Yep.
Click it again there.
I wonder if it's because this is. Go ahead and close that little X because.
Is it because she has that dialog box open?
Maybe.
I bet you think I've never touched a computer in my life, don't
It's
you?
fine. Maybe it put it in your downloads area. If you go to the start menu, go to computer, go to downloads. Yep, there it is. So if you right click on one of those and do extract, yep. Okay.
So it didn't give me an option of where I wanted to save it, did it? Not just
No, it in Firefox it goes downloads, yeah. Okay, so everybody has that now. So the next piece that we're going to talk about is uploading and deleting documents. You can do this in a couple different ways. If you're in a browser, IE 10 or above, Firefox or Chrome, there is a drag and drop feature, so you can just drag files from your computer into the library. If you are in another browser, you can use the upload document function that's in the files menu. And then also you can delete files through this menu as well. So you could use the ellipses next to the file itself, or you could use the check mark that's next to any of the items within your library and use that through the ribbon. So let's go ahead and load some documents. What I'm going to do is navigate into my document library. So again, if you need to get to your document library, go to that gear, site contents. I'm going to go into Amy's documents. And from this point, go ahead and open that folder that lives on your computer. So if it went into your downloads area, you can go to Windows Explorer, go to downloads. So it should look something like this. So you have your files in
What did you click again?
well, mine was stored on my flash drive. So wherever you had stored it.
Upload.
I haven't clicked anything yet. I just opened the Windows Explorer.
Oh.
So down here. So if it went to your desktop, your files would be there.
It's on my desktop.
So we're just opening the
Yep,
site.
just opening the Windows Explorer itself. And if you're in a browser that allows you to drag, you should see a little area under your document library that says drag files here to upload. So I could select my files that are within Windows Explorer and just drag them over into my library. When I drag them over, it should highlight the library where it wants you to drop your files. So once you drop them, it'll go through that upload process. It'll show you an indicator at the very top of the page, and then all your items are loaded. So that's a really handy and fast way to get things into your document library. You could always upload them through the upload document. So upload documents on the files tab. That'll take you to a window where you can browse to a single document to load it. There's also another menu that I want to show you, but because of IE8, it's not going to probably work. But if you're on additional higher IE version, if you're in IE and go to the library tab, there is an option called Open with Explorer. You'll only see this option available inside of IE itself. But what it's going to do is open your document library in a File Explorer window. So if you were used to interacting with more of that Explorer type view, you want to see your folder structure or whatever you have inside your document library, you could use that option as well.
Have you had success with that?
Yes, on newer browser versions, yes, and outside of lab environments, I can get it to work. A lot of times on the campuses, I haven't got it to work inside the lab. It's not working. Okay.
Oh, no. You fixed it.
See?
You fixed it.
Yay! I like it when it works. So that's some ways that you can get things into your library. If you need to delete things, you'll notice that now that you have documents in this folder or in this library, if you hover over them, there'll be a check mark that appears to the left of your document. If you select that, that now makes that file active. When you select the item, additional icons will appear in your Files tab. So if I wanted to delete a document, I select the check mark, say delete document, and that would let me delete it. You can select multiple items now, so that you can select groupings of items and delete those or do actions on those items. Okay? Any questions about those pieces? All right. Well, that is where I wanted to take a break. So let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. So that would put us in here about 2:35.